Yo, what's up, guys? Jairus here, and welcome to another episode of Jairus Inspires podcast. Bro, is your Spartan commercial in box team still up?
There. Yeah,
Still
it's still there. Yeah.
Bro,
It's
you're a
still-
legend. You're a Dubai cinema legend.
Thank you, man. I've been now more people know me from that than I think anything else I've done.
It's been running for how many years now?
It's 2015 is when you made it, so it's been
2015.
almost gonna be 10 years next year, 10-year
Yeah.
anniversary of running it. So yeah,
So this guy, my next guest, made the commercial for Vox Cinemas. Okay, 2015, you said.
2015 we
Until
shot it.
now,
Yeah.
still running.
It's still running, and I mean everybody sees, and I'm glad that my name comes at the end of it because we kind
Yeah.
of had that deal with them.
Yeah,
So everybody
yeah.
knows me like, oh, that's the guy, and I put myself in it as well. I'm thinking,
Yeah,
this at the end.
at the end, yeah.
I'm like, this is it. Now I'll
Yeah.
be famous even from a face no one recognizes.
Yes, and if you watch any movie in Vox Cinemas, you probably saw this guy.
Yeah, just doing this.
Somehow.
You see me doing this, you'll know that's me.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember I was watching the behind the scenes stories when you made the video. It's been we know each other
Yeah, for a while, long time, long
for a long
yeah.
time now. It's not even on Instagram. It's on Facebook. I think.
Facebook and so yeah,
Facebook,
yeah. We've been like
Crazy.
following each other for like
Wow,
long
wow.
time. Like that was like such a long time ago. I mean, I think that was shot on the C100, which is one of the cameras you're using here right now. Yeah, so it was like it's
Quite
a while.
long time now. Yeah.
So it's a long time, but it was fun. We went to the desert, shot the whole thing at 7 a.m. and it was in June. So I was like, I need to get out of there before everybody starts like sweating and it becomes a real battle, you know.
Right.
So, but it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, guys, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my special guest for today, an amazing filmmaker based in Dubai, Faisal. Bro, thank you
Hey,
so much
thank
for
you so much
coming.
for having
in.
me, man.
Man,
It's a pleasure.
how are you, bro?
I'm okay, man. You know, surviving the summer. Now things are getting better. Focusing on film projects. Yeah, it's been.
Yeah,
you know,
we're just escaping the loneliness of summer here.
Exactly. Now people are coming back, and suddenly
Yeah.
clients and stuff realize like, oh, there's work.
Yeah,
we have to do.
Is your
do
summer
work.
also kind of shaky?
It always is. So whenever
right.
like because
Yeah.
clients and stuff they go away, so your commercial projects go down. So I always
Yeah,
try to
because-
like. Okay, let me like. I feel guilty for not doing anything, so I'm like, oh, let me write a script or something like that. Like, you
Oh,
know, so I
yeah.
try to like focus on those things. So,
Okay.
but yeah, now work is getting busier. So
Yeah, so hence I started this podcast because not too busy, so I got time to complete
exactly.
this
Yeah.
podcast.
Anytime you can find like a cool side project
Yes,
to do,
exactly.
you feel better that you're not just sitting and playing video games or something at home.
Cool. Guys, before we dive into the topic, I just want to clarify the topic for today is about filmmaking, okay? It's not travel video, it's not vlog, it's not TikTok,
No,
Instagram,
all the
right?
content creation stuff
No,
online.
no,
it's none of
it's filmmaking.
that. Cinema.
Cinema,
That's
yes.
what we're here for.
Yes. So we're talking about having a director, having a story, having a
Yeah.
script,
Yeah.
So yeah, filmmaking.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so our topic for today is starting filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
So this is because see, I have a lot of followers. Most of my followers are photographers, content creators,
Yeah.
and a lot of them has cameras, and
Yeah.
a lot of them take pictures. Now, I received this a lot throughout the years. They want me to conduct a workshop or teach about video or filmmaking. It's not really my top expertise. So when I came up with this idea of having a podcast, when I thought about this topic about starting filmmaking, Faisal is the top person that I thought of. So yeah, so bro, first of all, before we start the topic, before we start about filmmaking, starting your filmmaking journey, bro, can you just introduce yourself, share some of your background or how you started? Yeah, bro, the floor is yours.
Sure. So I am a filmmaker based in Dubai. I was born and raised here. I'm from Pakistan originally, but I've lived there like never. Like I've just go there 1 week every two years or whatever. So, but when I started off, I never knew I was going to be a filmmaker. When I was in school, I got sort of an interest in storytelling. So, but again, you don't have a filmmaking industry. You barely even have it here now, but like you definitely didn't have it there in like 2005, 2006 or whatever. So for me, it was like, okay, I'll just write short stories and not like half finished novels and stuff like that. And so because of that, when it came to join university, I was like, okay, let me just, everybody thinks of safe bet like business or whatever, right? BBA or marketing or whatever. So I did a marketing degree. I joined a marketing.
That was your degree.
Yeah, so I joined a marketing degree. I mean, there were film schools kind of there at that time, but like, again, A, they were very pricey, and B, like, I didn't know that there is a pathway to become a filmmaker here. This is before City of Life and stuff even, like, this is like pre that. So I was doing a marketing degree, but I kept writing. I kept writing short stories and scripts and whenever I had time in the evening. And then at some point I realized that these stories and writing feel like cinematic in nature. I was also starting to get into films, like watching more films.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, you know what? I think these feel like movie inspired. So let me explore how a movie story works. Then I realized how to write a script. And if you've ever seen a script is very differently written from how a short film is, how a short story is written. You know, because there's a formatting there. You can't write about like the thoughts of a character. It has to be filmed. Everything you write has to be filmed, right? So if I'm like looking at you and I'm thinking of, I'm thinking of like, I'm running late for work or whatever, like I can't just write that, because
Yeah, of course,
it has to either be a monologue, or I'm like, I should write a scene where I'm like looking at my watch or something. So that's what I'm learned. Okay, this is the way to do it. So then I thought, okay, let me just write movie scripts, right? That will be fun. Maybe somebody will make them one day. So I started doing that. And then I got frustrated when I realized like there's no industry here in terms of like I can write a script, somebody can direct my script. Like there's nothing like that here. So what was happening, I was writing a lot of scripts and they were just kind of like stuck in a well, not a drawer because we had digital. So it was just stuck in a folder for me. So then I got frustrated. I was like, okay, can I write something that I can maybe shoot? So I was like, okay, one location, like my friend's house, and maybe one or two actors, and let me just shoot something fun.
I remember that you posted that.
Yeah, so I was like, so I wrote a short film script that's placed called The Loop. It was like, this was like in 2009, so it was like, I was 19 years old. And then I was like, I called my best friend. I was like, hey, do you want to be in a movie? He's like, sure. I was like, can I use your house? He's like, sure. I was like, I need a female actor. He's like, I'm my cousin.
Yeah, you have to use your resources.
You just have to use what you have. I mean,
right?
I at this time I had no crew because I didn't know anybody who you don't have any credibility, right? You're a first-time filmmaker. No one knows who you are, so you can't go and approach like somebody like a sound person or whatever. Like, who are you? So, which has changed now. Now people want like message me like every week. Which is, you build that eventually, but that was just me with the camera. I went to my friend's place. I needed a female actress, so my friend was like, oh, you can use my cousin. I never even met her before. And I met her on set. I was like, hi, thank you for being in my film. And I was like, and so we shot a short film, which I realized how long movies take to actually make. Even though it's a 1 minute short film, I was like, for a couple of hours we'll be done. We were shooting for 14 hours straight. Like, I was like, whoa, this takes a long time to shoot. And people were sweating at the end. I used all the independent tools. Like I needed a dolly, so I took like an office chair, put my camera, put a small tripod on it, and I moved the thing. I was like, let me bring as much production value to it because I don't have the money, but all I know is tricks. So, so I shot that. And that's when I realized I really love that aspect of it as well. I love the aspect of bringing the script to life. Like writing is still my first love because it all came from writing, and the idea has to like inspire me and excite me. But I really love like directing actors, choosing my shots, like, you know, and then later I edit it as well. I'm like, oh, I love like putting the whole thing together. So that's when I was like, okay, I think I would love to be a filmmaker, not just a writer, but I would love to like be a director. So that's how I made my first short film. And even then, again, it wasn't like, oh, now I'm gonna abandon everything and become film. So I was like, let me just keep doing this on the side. Let me keep making more short films. So over the course of the next 10 years, I kept making more and more short films, each time trying to be a little more ambitious than the next. But the ethos is still the same. What can I use that I have access to? You know, like, so let me think of an idea. If I have a friend's office that I can shoot in, what's a fun horror short film or something that can take place in an office? What's something that can take place in a radio booth? You know, because my brother was in Murdoch, you know, university, where, you know, Patrick used to teach as well. So they used to invite me to do some stuff. So I was like, I noticed they have a very cool radio production kind of room. I was like, oh, this is like a radio station.
You did, I remember.
Yes, so I was like, okay, what can I do? So an idea came to me like, oh, that would be fun to like shoot a horror short film, but they take about a radio booth, guys. So it's all about, for me, I never sit and vacuum and imagine, okay, what's the only idea I can write? I'm always using some elements. So like, okay, I can shoot, I might have a house. What's the location nobody has used before? So the last short film I did was in a barber shop. So I was like, oh, that would be cool, a barber shop, but a thriller. What can you do that? Everything is a weapon if you think about it. So so over the last 10 years, it's just been a process of making shorts, you know, first by myself, first few ones with my friends. Then, you know, the advantage of being in UAE is that when you make something good or at least something interesting, people come up to you. So people who are working commercials and stuff, they're like, you know, I never get to make films. That's what I got into this field for. I don't want to just make 20 commercials a month. Let me know what your next film is. I have this lights I can bring to your thing. I have this camera I can bring to your thing. So you start to build a crew, and then thankfully because of that you start delegating, and you can focus on just managing the set and focus on directing actors, which is your main job on the set is to direct actors, you know. But if you're like thinking of focus as well and thinking of all these things, like the last thing you look at is the actors. So it's been a journey since, and so it's been a journey of discovery. You know, first like writing, then the directing, and then over the last few years, I'm like, let me take this seriously as a career. So you know, sending it out to film festivals, seeing the success of that. So yeah, it's been a learning journey, completely self-taught. You know, like never went to film school, don't have that kind of like, okay, this is how the industry should work. Just by accident.
I remember you do a lot of horror short film.
Yeah.
Like until now, or
Till now, yeah. So for me, my love has always
bread and
been
butter.
yeah. It's always but I made sure that the first films I make are not horror. So because there's nothing worse than making a bad horror movie. Like I've seen some horrible horror films.
They called comedy.
Exactly. So I'm like, my fear was like, if I make a horror film that is like so bad that people are just laughing through it, that'll traumatize.
The movie
Yeah,
scream.
I will just be traumatized. So I was like, okay, let me just learn. I made thrillers, still kind of something, but I'm like, let me learn how a film is made. So let me make all the mistakes on the smaller films, and then when I was a little more confident in terms of how I can do stuff, I made a horror short film. I think that was my third or fourth, and yeah, but I still love doing that, and I think it's unique because nobody in UAE is doing that kind of stuff. Very few people. Like when you go to film festivals in UAE, we had the Dubai Film Festival back in the day. It doesn't exist anymore. But when I used to go there, I was like, "What's a horror?"
It was big. Dubai
It was
Film
big.
Festival.
It was
Yes,
massive. There was such an inspiration for me. Like that's what I was like. This is my Disneyland. For me as a
I don't know what
filmmaker.
happened.
Yeah, they shut it down because of
bad.
because it wasn't really generating revenue, which doesn't really make sense. But I go to Saudi now. Saudi Red Sea Film Festival happens in Saudi, which is kind of a replacement of this for this region for DIF. So for me, it was always just like, let me learn from this film festival and stuff like that. And yeah, so I think the industry has been interesting. I've seen it evolve from like no industry to that. When I made my film, it was before the DSLRs were even a thing, and now DSLRs are everywhere. So yeah, it's been a fun part of sort of being in that evolution.
Yeah. So Faisal, definitely, if there's a guy who can inspire us or you to try filmmaking, obviously this is the guy. So he's done a lot of short films, and right now you're working with this very famous celebrity,
Yeah.
influencer.
Yeah. I work with Khalid a lot for some of his
Khalid
videos.
Mary.
Yeah, so his stuff. It's fun because that's like I get to do skits, but I also I get to direct actors. So it's a fun little middle ground of stuff.
Wait, do you come up with the comedy skit or
No, it's usually his ideas. All of his,
Khalid.
all of
He
so he comes up
transferred
with
to you,
he comes to me
and then-
on set. I'm like, okay, how do I it's for me? It's about translating it to a visual medium, right? Okay, so this is the script. How do I shoot it? What's the most interesting way to shoot it, to light it? How do I talk to the actors? How do we get a working thing out of it? So it's always like kind of translating his idea. Sometimes it's even more of a rougher idea, and it's ideas like how do we like improvise and make it really fun on set.
Yeah.
But it's a nice experience because I discover so many fun actors that I can also work with in films in the future.
Yeah.
But like my focus has still been sort of working on short films. I'm working on a feature film right now, which I might be shooting early next year. But again, that's also in the horror thriller realm. So I can't abandon that. I love doing that. I still watch horror movies every week in cinemas or at
Wow.
home. So I love watching those kind of things. And they're fun genres. And the best thing about a horror film is that it travels internationally, right? A scary movie in Venezuela is still scary to you here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But a comedy from Venezuela might not be funny to you to you over here because there are cultural elements,
Right, I
Yeah.
never realized that.
Yeah,
Yes.
you might not watch a Japanese comedy, but The Ring is a Japanese horror movie, and it is like
The Ring was huge.
Exactly.
And it was been ripped off by so many.
Yeah, exactly.
Till today.
To date, yeah. So
Yeah.
you can imagine so because what's scary to everybody is universal, But what's funny might be like you might if you see if you see Filipino comedies, right? It might not work with like an American guy watching. Some Bollywood comedies are very slapstick, very crazy. They don't work with people. So that's why comedies don't travel very well. But if you make a scary movie, sometimes it's even scarier when it's from another country because I don't recognize the actors, so it feels like this could be happening to these guys for real. You never know. It's not like Brad Pitt is in the movie, so I'm like, oh, this guy's nothing's gonna happen to him. Sometimes sometimes even scary with something cultural. So if you that's why the Japanese horror films they take place in those forests and those locations which have their own urban myths and mythologies. I'm like, oh, I don't know anything about this place. This could be true, So yeah, so that's what I love about that, and I've been trying to do that for my films as well. Like find interesting kind of angles, maybe from the the Arab world as well, because again, Arab horror has been very kind of like down in terms of no one has ever explored it. So yeah, man, it's been fun, and I just hope to make more of those entertaining fun films.
Yeah. Amazing. Good to hear that. So let's go to the main topic for today. So starting your filmmaking journey. So bro, okay. So a lot of my followers, they have a camera. They're doing photography. All right. So what do you think? Like where should I start? What should I do if I want to do filmmaking? I have a camera. I have a lens, but again, I don't have a lot of resources. What should I do to start filmmaking?
Yeah, I think the best thing, the first thing to figure out what story you want to tell, right? Like what kind of filmmaker do you want to be? Do you want to be you can be a documentarian. You can try to just go out and film just beautiful things or an interesting subject or a bunch of people, and that's a story you can craft from it. Usually the story comes in the edit when it comes to a documentary, because obviously your focus on day is just to get interesting things and follow the moment. Anything can happen, so you can't plan for the story. But
wait, let me just. This is what I mean. This is how you differentiate the old school, the OG filmmakers compared to the new ones. The first suggestion he made, storytelling. Storytelling,
man. Doesn't
not
matter.
gimbal,
Not 4K, not 8K.
not
Storytelling.
8K,
Yeah.
not camera. See, you don't need the cameras and everything. Number one advice: storytelling,
Yeah.
which is one of the strongest strength of being a filmmaker.
Exactly.
Storytelling.
And that's why you notice, I mean, look at some of these, like, try to imagine some of the bad Hollywood films you've watched. Like, they have $200 million to make a movie.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll watch that movie, despite how much explosions are happening in it on, like, the fanciest camera, you'll be like, I don't really feel anything. Like, that was like, when people ask you, like, the story was weak. You know? Like, no matter how many, you will never have that money to do it. So the only thing you have as an independent filmmaker is story. That's why, you know, they say all these like movies like Parasite and all these movies that you've heard of, like more independent films, the reason why they become successful is because of story. Because yes, I may not have $10 million or $20 million, $100 million, but like I can tell a story maybe they're not thinking of, because they're thinking of the toys. They have the, you know, sometimes it's bad to have too many resources, because if you have like an 8K camera or whatever, you might be like, oh, okay, I'll shoot it like this, or I'll figure it out in post. But like when you don't have those resources, when you have like less resources, you have to come up with a fun story. So definitely always think story first. You know, even if it's in a documentary, like figure out who are you following, what are you trying to see, what kind of filmmaker you want to be. I would also say watch, if you want to be a filmmaker, like making films, watch films. Like you need to understand what the greats are doing. You wouldn't take up tennis and never watch a tennis match, right? If you were like, I want to be a tennis player, but I'll never watch a tennis thing, I'll just go pick up a racket. No, you want to see what the greats have been doing, what not to do as well. Like it's, because when I wanted to do horror, I knew I wanted to do horror because I love horror films. But even within horror, there are so many subgenres. There are zombie movies. There are, you know, the gorier films. There are like the psychological thrillers and stuff like that. So I just keep watching a lot of films, and what develops is your taste, which is very important as a filmmaker. You need to know what kind of thing you wanna do. You know, like you in your photography, you have a style, right? You have a very specific style that you developed over the years by experimenting and doing stuff, and now you know what it is.
Not easy to develop.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Exactly. So I think it's a matter of like figuring that out, watching the stuff and figuring it out, and then just experimenting. I think the best thing about making a short film, and the reason why people make short films, is it's like a film school on its own. You know, try something fun. Try to do a one-take movie. You know, something that's fun. Even if it's not coming out amazing, it's fine. It's not like you're gonna have to put it in cinemas and the whole world has to watch it. You know, it's fine. Try it out again. But if you don't experiment and you don't like risk failing, you'll make the same thing again and again, and you're not learning from it. So yeah, I would say figure out your story and just pick up a camera. What's the story you want to tell? And it might not come to you very immediately. You will not wake up one day and know exactly the story. But experiment, learn. But always, no matter what you do, you can make something very independent. You can make something big. Always root it in like a story. And I promise it'll be very successful.
And that's also our advantage, because I believe that, like my experience, your experience, we started basically with nothing, with almost nothing, right? Like well, simple camera, simple lens. We don't have access to location, so we had to come up with a really good story, right? Because again, we don't have the fanciest gears, so we had to.
You have to,
push everything.
Exactly. And not even fancy as gear, but like even in terms of locations, like if I'm shooting in someone's house, like that's not a fancy location. It's not like I'm on top of a mountain or whatever. So I'm like, okay, if the location is kind of boring, the story I tell within that location has to be super interesting.
True.
Like
Yes,
10 times more than a normal story. You know, if I'm shooting, like, let's say if I'm shooting here in a normal room, that's a normal room, but like what happens needs to be very, very interesting. So yeah, story is very key. And as you said, like, because we started from nothing, even if we get a lot of toys, we get a lot of equipment to shoot, we can go back to nothing if we need to. Like I've been on sets where like I have
with your phone.
Yeah, exactly. Something like I've been on sets, so like if somebody, let's say DOP drops out on the day he's sick or he can't come, I have done it so that I can do it. Now I'm not saying I'll do it as good as he can do it, but there are filmmakers who, if you're so used to the toys, the moment the toy is taken away from you, suddenly you're like, I don't know what to do in filmmaking. Exactly. So if my sound guy drops out on one day, I'm not an expert in sound, but I've done my sound in the first 2 movies. I know how to hold a boom. I know how to live mic somebody. So it's good to know everything, but then trust people to do it. And the advantage is that, you know, a cinematographer or a sound person, they all respect you more if you've done it. Because they'll be like, and because when you're giving them suggestions or in the edit where you're telling them suggestions, when they know that you've done it, you can speak their language. Because, you know, clients have come to me be like, this edit, like, I don't really feel it. I'm like, this is a useless note, right? Like, what is this? But so if I'm ever working with an editor, I don't come and give them these kind of random notes. I'll be like, hey, let's try cutting this 2 seconds from this part. I feel like this can be tightened. When you speak specific edit language, they appreciate it, because they don't have to like sit the whole day and figure out what did he mean by that. It's like, this edit is not really popping. I think we can like improve it. I'm like, give me, what are you feeling? I don't know. So that when you speak to a camera person, like, hey, I think the exposure could be down. I think the shadows could, they're like, oh, this person understands it. So yeah, I think that's also the advantage of like speak the language. So you can talk to any department head in the film and they will respect you more.
Yeah. Okay. So Faisal, you talk about the storytelling, which is amazing. Okay, so I have the camera, I have the lens, and then storytelling. You need to start with story, idea. Once you have that, you said the locations, the crew. You don't have to have the best locations. You can just go to your friend's house or just use whatever you can get, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there now let's talk about the gears. Others aside from
Yeah.
cameras and lens, like
Yeah.
what are the essential filmmaking gears that I need to get to start my filmmaking journey?
Yeah, so I would say if you're shooting a film, my first couple of films, I didn't have audio, right? I didn't have any audio gear, but I was like, and so if you watch my first shot from the audio.
When you're talking about audio, are you not talking about those?
No, please, no, yeah. Don't.
Right.
But like, imagine you're playing a dramatic scene and there's a
exactly.
road wireless go or something.
And with road logo or
Yeah,
DJ
yeah.
logo.
I don't know
Oh,
why they
God,
put like massive
that
logos in
breaks
front
my
of them.
gears,
That's pretty insane. So, but like, okay, if you need audio in a and you don't have good mics, try to write a film that has no dialogue. I've done that as a hack because I'm like, okay, I don't have an audio person on this, and I know the audio will suck if I shoot it. Can I make a story with no dialogue, right? No, if there's no audio, I don't have to worry about audio. So, but if you have, try to get good audio, and it doesn't have to sound like amazing podcast or whatever, but it shouldn't be like super noisy or whatever, because you can have a film that is grainy or whatever. People will be like, oh, it's an artistic choice. You can say like it looks like that, but if it sounds bad, it's a biggest sign of an amateur film. Like if you go and watch any student short film or like some budget film, the first sign of an audio, like if a character's talking, people you're like, oh, this is bad.
All the background noises.
Yeah, exactly. So there is no excuse for that. You can't be like, oh, that was by choice. There was an artistic. No.
way.
You know that you didn't have the resources to hire a sound person or clean up the audio. So if you have audio and if you want your movie to seem professional, make sure that you have good audio gear. Lighting makes a huge difference. Now you can always shoot like films like The Revenant and stuff. They've been shot in natural light. Again, it's just more work because you have to now know when the sun is going to be at any given time. You have probably like a 1 hour window to shoot your scene.
I heard that.
So they literally, again, it's a big budget movie. So they would go into the forest during like 5 to 6 p.m. just to get one shot, and then would travel back for 2 hours and come back again for another shot.
Oh, shit.
Because they wanted that very natural light look. We can't afford to do that for the most part. But if you want to have an interesting thing, understand how lighting works. You don't need to have fancy lights. You just need to understand how lighting works, how shadows work, how do you create contrast within the frame. 2 lights can do that. Do that. 100 lights can do that. So if you just understand how that works, eventually when you're making films, especially with horror, I think creating mood and sort of that look is interesting. So I would say, other than camera, definitely focus on lighting, focus on interesting lenses. Your lens choice becomes interesting, and audio, I think, is.
Before you continue, bro, I just want to go back to audio, because when I say audio, let's be specific. Okay, it's not the the new generation of microphones. Not that.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the?
Yes, I'm talking about either you have the best way is the boom microphone. So you have a shotgun boom microphone that you're using on people. You can have lavs as well, but lavs are the ones that can be hidden, like ones that are sort of clipped.
If
like
you cannot use the.
Yes, exactly. If you cannot use the boom, because let's say you're shooting a super wide shot of like somebody walking from far, you can have a lav mic. In professionally, they usually try to do both. So you have a person laved and you have a person boom, and they're recording both channels into their mixer. So you can choose in post which one sounds better. But the professional way, if you want like how you watch a movie and you hear this character's talk, it's all from a boom, a really good boom that's like placed right above the character's head. So yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, because
So boom,
good audio,
boom and lapel.
boom and lapel. A lapel that can be hidden, not like one of those clip-on ones. A lapel that can be hidden, because again, in a film, like the immersion is completely broken if suddenly you can see a mic. Like imagine Ryan Gosling in a dramatic scene and you can see a mic clicking out. You're like, wait, what? Because the thing is, even if you all know it's a movie, we have to still like the scene shouldn't give away that's a movie. A mic cannot come in, this cannot come in. You cannot see a light in the background. It just takes you out of the thing. So so those things are very, very important. If you're doing audio, make sure the audio sounds good. Otherwise, don't do audio. Make a silent film. It's fine.
Yeah. So the audio. Now you mentioned the light. Okay. Now let's be specific for the viewers. So what kind of light are we talking about here?
I mean, the ideal way to do it, depending on, there's many.
There's so many lights, bro. Like so many lights. Like,
There's so many kinds of light, but I think
remember when we were starting?
Yeah.
There's not even like RGB.
I know. Yeah.
we don't have access to RGB.
People today are so lucky. Like how access to
we
these
had to
lights
stock
are.
up gels, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Stock up gels. Like had to plan everything in advance. What are we gonna use? You have to like have the right color.
Yeah. Right now, just one click, man.
Like now that a bicolor lights and so like so many things are like just there in the palm of your hand. You're using your phone to like control
You guys
it.
are very lucky.
Very lucky.
And they're cheap. They're accessible.
They're so.
You can buy for like 500 dirhams for like 60-watt light,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. So I think understanding softness of light. So because if you just buy a small panel, the problem is it's going to create very harsh shadows on your
Okay,
face.
when you say panel, those are the square
Square panels, or
ones,
even
okay?
if it's a light doesn't have like a diffusion on it,
Okay.
it's going to create a lot of harsh
Okay,
shadows.
so avoid that.
Yes.
Okay, so
that.
avoid the panel lighting, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what lights are we talking about?
Any kind of, I mean, like for if I, because I have aperture light, so aperture you could get like a 100D, 200D.
Yeah.
Try to get a dome on it.
We're talking about the studio lights. If you, I mean,
Yes.
similar to studio lights.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Exactly.
at the studio, you see studio lights. It's basically the same
Exactly.
same shape. You know.
Yeah, so those should, I think is what important is how you diffuse it, because you need to
Yes,
make sure, because the thing
yes.
is they are small light sources, you need to make them bigger. If you want softer light, you need the light source has to be bigger. So if you put a dome on it, that will make it bigger, and when it becomes bigger, it becomes softer. Try to bring it close. So in film, if you notice, most films it's softer lighting. If you want it to be harsher, that's a style. If you look like one of those older detective film noir films, you know, harsh shadows.
Harsh shadows,
If you're making those kind of films, sure. But most films, like if you're making a drama and stuff like that, people shouldn't know in a film that there's a light hitting their face. Like if an actor can be like, if a guy watching the movie can be like, hey, I feel like this is the light, I can see the hot spot on their face, it takes them off. So yeah, it's like nice diffused lighting. Try to understand it's motivated lighting. So imagine if a guy's sitting in a park in the dark and there's a light on his face, people will be like,
Okay.
wait, how is this light coming from? So maybe make sure there's a lamp in the frame or something like that, or there's like a street light or something. So because even if you add all the lighting in the story, people, it has to make sense where the light is coming from, right? So
sure.
if you want to shoot near a window, and then you can add lighting, people will assume it's coming from a window or a lamp on the side. So motivated lighting, that's what the right way of using it. And yeah, just understanding softness, understanding that don't just put a light right in front of the actor's face, because what's going to happen is it's going to take a completely flat lighting. There is no dynamic this thing. Like right now, if you look at between us, like there is light on one side, it's falling off the shadows on the other side. That creates 3D. That's what makes an image three-dimensional. So understand that. Understand like maybe a light to separate your hair from the rest of the thing. So it's all the things you can keep adding, but I think the general thing is understanding the placement of a light and the softness of a light. And I think if you just understand those things, you'll have 80% of your tools already.
So getting studio light, okay, and then choosing the right diffusion,
Yes,
right
exactly.
softbox.
Yeah.
There's so many types of softbox. What can you suggest? Like as a beginner, right now I'm going to buy lights. I'll buy studio light. What softbox would you suggest?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the aperture light domes are amazing. So they have
Light domes.
Yeah.
These are
The big one.
circular
They have a
ones,
mini one as well,
360,
because
yes.
the mini one is great if you have like a battery powered light. So let's say let's say you're shooting a scene with a guy on the phone talking and he's walking through the park, right? Obviously you can't set up one light because he's going to pass through and then it's gone. So you have to you need something more portable. So you might need the light that is on a V mount or a battery. So then you can't use a big dome. You might need like a light dome, a mini or a lantern. So those are good ones. Aperture is one good brand. There are cheaper brands as well that you can find on Amazon. But as long as you understand it's a soft light source. Yeah, I think just depends on how, if you're shooting a scene that's in a house, go bigger. You know, you can set it up and control it. But if you're portable, try to find smaller solutions. But it's essentially the same thing.
Okay. So we got the camera,
Yeah.
the lens. We got the story. Okay, audio.
Most important,
we got
yeah,
audio, lighting. Okay, now let's talk about accessories. There are loads of accessories, right? Like, we can name 100 of accessories
Yeah.
right now. What are the essentials? Is there any essential accessory that you need to start filmmaking?
Yeah, I mean, everything else from this point on is like things that are amazing to have if you can have them, you know. So I think like I remember when my first films that I made, I didn't even have a monitor to see it. So you're watching it from like the tiny 3-inch monitor on the screen, which is fine, you can survive on it. But like I think if you can find a monitor, even if it's a cheap monitor, 5-inch monitor or whatever, that you can connect on top of your camera and see a clean feed, so you're not seeing the levels and the bars and all that stuff covering half your frame. It just kind of, I think whenever I've shot it, I've just suddenly you're like, this is a real movie. Like I'm seeing the frame. This is what the world is going to see. So it lets you make better decisions in terms of framing, in terms of sort of how light and stuff looks, and just focus also is a very important thing. So you'll realize like, okay, something might look in focus here, but maybe it's slightly out of focus there. So if you can get a small cheap monitor to sort of, as a director, is going to really help you, especially if you're working with crew and somebody else is shooting it for you.
Yes.
You know, it's really helpful to just sit and just watch through a monitor. Any other accessories?
Tripod for sure.
100%.
Come
Yeah,
on,
yeah, exactly. Tripod. I mean, I'm a big handheld guy, but if you're gonna shoot with a tripod, make sure it's a good quality tripod. Don't put it on those like, especially if you have a nicer camera, don't put it on those like
free tripods that
those free-
comes with the when you buy a camera.
Don't put it on those
Some of
like
them only,
really
bro.
plastic tripods where one gust of wind and your camera is gone. I've had that happen to so many filmmakers where they'll have like an A7S, which is like a 10,000 dirham camera on like a 60 dirham tripod. I'm like, bro, like you realize that tripod is keeping that whole camera afloat. Like, don't think of it like I saved so much money. Like, no, you can lose 10,000, if it falls. So get a good quality tripod, something that has a nice fluid head, so that when you're panning, it doesn't look like just like,
Sure.
Yeah, because again, with filmmaking, again, the camera should be invisible. Any moves of the camera should be invisible. It shouldn't feel, if suddenly somebody feels like a shake in the thing, be like, oh wait,
fluid, should
yeah.
be,
Unless you're shooting like a found footage movie where it's supposed to be like, it should be fluid. It should, people shouldn't realize that there's a guy moving the camera. It should feel like your eyes are watching something. That's the whole idea of filmmaking. So, but if you're shooting handheld, again, try to find lenses that maybe have image stabilization in them, or don't shoot at like 100mm lens and handheld, because it's like, it's gonna give people migraines. So again, with handheld, be intentional. Why is a shot on tripod versus why is it handheld? There are two different looks.
Intentional.
With handheld, if you're shooting a horror film, if you shoot something more intense, handheld makes you feel like you're in the scene with them, because the ground is a little shaky. You're feeling like. But if you're shooting on a tripod, maybe you want to show loneliness of a character sitting somewhere in the middle. There's no one around him. A tripod will give you that feeling. So the static nature of it. So understand each tool can give you a different effect. With filmmaking, it's all about intention. So why am I shooting something dark? Why am I shooting something bright? Why am I shooting with handheld? Why is it shaky? Why is it not shaky? Why with gimbals are not so common nowadays. But like I don't love the gimbal look in film. I prefer like a slider because it's more controlled. Back in the day, now gimbals are so popular. Gimbals, you can still use them in film, but again, why is a moving shot can be on a tripod, or it can be on a handheld, or it can be on a gimbal. But why is it on a gimbal? It gives a different effect. So understand the intention behind it, and then you can just use every tool kind of connecting with that.
I actually prefer the look of like a glide cam.
Yes,
It gives
exactly.
you more, what you call this, more, I don't know, because a gimbal feels like 3D video game.
Yes,
it's like,
exactly.
it's very very plain. It's very
100%.
It's very locked in.
It is also not, even though yes, it's nice to get some shot.
Yeah.
If you look at most major films, they'll not shoot on gimbal. They'll shoot on a steady cam.
Exactly.
They'll shoot on
when they turn around, you see that there's a
exactly.
little bit of
there's a little. So I think that's. I mean, it's great because if you have that only, great, use it and do it. But find. I think there is more intention in a sliding shot because you know exactly where you're going from that on a steady cam shot. So I think those are tools that I think is just a matter of figuring out what story you're telling and what do you want the audience to feel. Simple. Do you want them to feel uneasy? Do you want them to feel threatened? Maybe handheld is a good idea. Why are we going close up? Do you want them to see kind of like a tear dropping off someone? I go on a close up. If you don't want to see it, I think you want to see the person in relation to the background. If someone is like there's a killer in the back or something like that, go wide. So understand, you just because you have a certain lens doesn't mean you'll only shoot on that lens. Okay, some people have like a 24 to 105, right? When do you do 24? When do you do 105? Understand filmmaking, and again, so many of these things you're gonna get by just watching movies. Watch The Shining. Watch the even like something new like The Dark Knight or whatever. Understand why was there a close up on Joker's face in some shots? Why were they shooting wider on some other shots? If you just literally just watch it and analyze, this is a filmmaker, right? He made choices. Why did they make those choices? Watch 10 films, make notes, and trust me, you will be a way better filmmaker than going to and reading books in film school and doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So I got all the equipments based on your suggestions. Okay. Got all the equipments. I got a story. Okay. I'm ready to produce my film. Okay. Now I managed to produce my first film. All right. Now, where do I publish them? Like, how do I show to the world? Like, where should I put them? Special film, like for example, if you do like a long,
like a 15-minute film or something like
15
that.
minutes. So, is there any events or like I don't know, is there any place that you could suggest aside from social media, aside from online? Is there like a physical place that I can showcase my film?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the best place to show. I think when you make a film, you make it for an audience, right? So the best way to see of any film is if you can see it with a live audience. Now, everybody doesn't get the pleasure of doing that,
That's where we met.
Yes,
together.
exactly. Yes, yeah.
It was,
which event was it?
It was I made a music video. You made a horror film.
Yeah.
And we did what's that? When you how's it called this? When what's it called that?
He's gonna get it eventually.
No. Yeah. No. When
Keep
you
this all in.
when you see,
This is
I'm just tired.
unedited,
I'm just tired, guys.
uncensored.
No, when you,
Explain it to me. I'll get it.
now when we do some movie and
Yeah.
before they show it to the masses.
Right. Premiere? Kind of a
Premiere,
thing?
yes.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So premiere.
Woo, yes.
You got it.
And that was in Alcuz.
Yes.
So
Yes.
You premiered your horror film.
Yes.
I premiered my music video, and
Correct.
we asked questions. I believe.
Yes,
you
I
asked me
believe. Yeah,
question.
Q&A, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I met.
That's so again, so that how cool was that, right? Like seeing it with
Yeah.
an audience. Though, if you can always, because see, with my films, especially when I initially made them, I just put them online because I didn't know there were not many film festivals here and stuff like that. So now, again, it's not, we had Dubai Film Festival, it went away unfortunately, but there are many smaller events that happen. There is a place called Film Society. It's they do a monthly meetup where they'll show people's films. You can submit for that, and you'll meet other filmmakers there. They'll do a Q&A. There's places like that. There are many small. There's something called Alain Film Festival that happens every year. You can submit your film there. Yeah, Alain Film Festival.
Yeah,
Your movie it's still around. You know, again, you have to drive to Alain, but it's fine. If you're watching a film, you get to see the audience. You might win awards. There's cash money awards also you can win. So. Find film festivals locally that can play your film, but also depending on the film you made, right? So for example, you made a music video, there are film festivals. There's a website called filmfreeway.com. Best thing, note that down. You can go there and you can find film festivals for every film around the world. So if you have music videos, there are film festivals that only program music videos and play them there. If you have documentaries, there are festivals only for documentaries. For horror films, which is what I do, there are festivals, especially during now, like October and November period, that will play only horror films. Like it's 20 horror films in a row. So in 2019, when I went to the US for the first time because horror film I made called Wiccan, it was playing at 12 film festivals in the US across October. So I used that to get my.
So that website are the ones going to distribute your.
So that website is basically a way to submit to film festivals. So other film festivals have listed there, like it is a film
So
festival.
you don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah. So you can submit. So what you can do is you can create a profile for your film. So you can create name, length, upload a screener, and then if you like a film festival, click it. If it fits with the dates or whatever, submit. So one click, you're submitting to all these film festivals versus like submitting and sending the emails again and again. It's all there. You know what kind of films they like. You know what kind of deadlines they have in terms of submissions.
Yeah.
You know if there's an entry fee, how much is it going to cost to enter this festival or whatever. So you know everything there, and you can just select the right festival. Don't just spam it to like every festival in the world. Understand what kind of festival is it. Maybe can I travel to it? If you can travel to a festival, that's the best kind of festival to accept. Because when I went to the US and I saw my film, which was, by the way, the only horror film from the whole of Middle East and all of the festivals. So there was a novelty there. They were like, oh, okay, it's from Middle East, a horror film. Nobody's seen that before. So when you go there, you can meet so many filmmakers who make the films like you do. You can meet them. I've made connections of people that, that could hopefully work on your next film. So, and just like the feeling you get when an audience watches your thing, especially if it's a horror. I think horror and comedy, the reason they're alike is both the genres are audience-based. If a comedy is funny, people are laughing. You know it. And if it's not funny, you know from the
Exactly,
only.
it's true.
If it's complete silence, you don't have to ask people, how was it? You just be like, all right, this was...
Yeah, right.
Same thing with the horror film. It's like people are gasping. People are like, you can see from the expression of people if they're like on the edge or if they're like on their phone. If they're on your film has failed.
That's what it's hard to feel on social media right now. Like when,
Exactly.
you don't see their reactions.
Eventually I do put my films online and YouTube is a big part of the films. Like all the films like The Weeknd has 500,000 views on YouTube, right? And I can see comments. Yeah, it's amazing. And horror films do very well on YouTube if you put it on the right, if it's a good movie.
Wow.
And especially if you like, I see people from Brazil and stuff watching it. Those Latin countries love horror films, by the way. They wonder they make so many exorcism and stuff movies. They love those kind of things. So and you can get comments and you see people fighting about certain things or whatever, but like it's not the same as, it's kind of in a vacuum because I don't know what they felt while watching it. And in fact, the only way I felt that is there was a guy, there's a couple of YouTube channels that do react videos. So they watch my film and they're reacting to it.
Really?
I'll tell you all of them. 3 or 4 of my films, people have reacted to it. It's so fun to watch. It's like, it's
so
surreal.
good.
Like they're reacting like big movie trailers and also they're like, hey, every week we'll also do a short film and they're reacting to my short film. So you get a real-time reaction of somebody
That
like...
feels great.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing to see. So yeah, so I think always whenever you can see an audience play it, and then eventually it can also go on social media. The advantage of it going on social media is that it can have a second life. You can meet people, but also even when you put it there, promote it. Like I love that what you do. You have a presence on social media. You put your work out there. Like you have created a following. Try to create that. Even if I know it's very hard because like some people are very introvert. I'm generally an introvert myself, so it's hard for me to create stuff, but I have to make a conscious choice to promote my film because you can make a film if no one watches it. What's the point, right? So it's your job because when you're an independent filmmaker, you're the movie studio, you're the marketing budget, you're the publicist, you're everything. You cannot make a film like Michael Bay or whatever can make a film and submit it to the Paramount and be like, yalla, you promote it. I'm gonna go and have a beach vacation. No, you're like, no, I have to promote it. Every single person that watches it is because they came from my social media. So put it out there and then promote it, and hopefully you'll find even more people, who you can collaborate with in the future.
Yeah, good. I mean, bro, that's a lot of information, amazing tips. Bro, is there any is there anything you want to say to the people that are watching this? Like short one, just give them some word of advice about filmmaking.
Yeah, so I would say look, there's a thousand reasons to not make something, right? I think making films in Dubai is not easy. People have jobs, people have things, people have to survive. I'll give you an example. I've always felt like an outsider in whenever I've been making films, because I'm not Emirati. So there are many
felt that, bro.
yeah. So I'm not Emirati. So there are many grants and stuff that are meant for Emiratis only that I can't access. I'm not even Arab. So there are many films competitions that are for Arab language films that I can't submit. I never went to film school. And I don't even make the genres that are very common here, which is like dramas and such. So there are 4 levels of feeling like an outsider that I've come to, which would be a good enough reason for me to say, okay, these are the reasons why I'll never make a movie. It's not my fault. It's the world around me. But I have to find a reason to make the movie despite that.
Yeah,
so use that as fuel instead of like using an excuses, which are valid excuses, but you can be like, no, I will prove to the world that I still love, I love what I do and I'm good at what I do. I'm going to still make it despite that. Use it as like energy to like do it yourself. So instead of finding out the reasons to not make something, find the reasons to make something. You like embrace all the limitations. Be like, okay, fine. Yes, I love horror. I'll make a kick-ass horror movie over here, and doesn't matter, right? Nobody's going to fund it for me. I'll do it myself, and I'll do all these things. And the feeling you will have when it's finished and people are watching it, and the people who probably told you like, yeah, this won't happen, this won't work for you because of this reason, and they'll be like, oh, this guy finished the film. Like that feeling is worth the whole thing. So just find the reasons to make something. Don't just stay on the reasons to not make something.
Okay, bro, thanks so much. But you know what? Before we end this, I had this idea in mind while doing the interview. Bro, okay, let's make a game, okay? Bro, just give me one answer. I need one answer for, okay? If there's one movie that you could suggest to inspire filmmakers out there, choose one movie right now. Watch, what movie is it? 5 seconds.
Okay,
5.
I'm gonna say
one movie.
Okay, I have a bias. I'll say watch Parasite. I mentioned it before. Parasite. It's a movie that will start one way, it goes another way, and it'll constantly. You can never guess how that movie is going. But also at the same time, it's very emotional. So if you can do those things, make it. You should watch it. You gotta watch it right now.
I was expecting like Godfather or
I will go
Mr. Taylor.
No. I mean, those are classic. Everybody watch them. But I'm like, this movie will show you that you can make an emotional movie, but it can still be a thriller. It doesn't have to be something. Definitely. Yeah, watch it. I'll find you link. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
You have to watch it. It won the Oscar. It was the only Korean Oscar-winning film.
Was it? Yeah.
2-3 years ago, yeah. It won an Oscar. Imagine it's a Korean film that won the Oscar. Usually, American films win the Oscars, right? That's the whole idea.
Okay.
It's a Korean film that won the Oscar. So if you reach that level, it's something. It's
okay.
Something.
So Parasite, watch it, guys. I'll watch it too, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hey, man. Thank you.
Amazing,
bro.
Thanks for coming in. And guys, if you want to learn filmmaking, follow this guy. I've learned a lot right now. If you have any questions, follow him. This guy, legend, bro. Thank you so much, bro.
Cheers, brother.